Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X research and professional physicist. And today I'd like to bring to you another one of my articles. This one is entitled Large Arcs Observed in the Sky. Can chemtrails produce them? Now, in Article 305 entitled Planet X System Object Closely Approaching Earth, I analyzed two photographs which show several arcs in the sky. The arcs were emitting light, and the light emitted was bright. Was brighter in the more recent image, and this is the more recent image that's shown here. Then the image from November of 2017, which I'll show you below. Now, in this article, I would like to consider whether these could have been produced by something other than the presence of a striped spherical object in the sky, so that when viewed from the top, these appear in the form of arcs. So here is that first image, which was recently taken. And you can see these concentric gray arcs in the sky, and this is after the light was reduced. So the image was darkened slightly because all we could see in the first image was a circular outline. When it was darkened, then we could see that these are actually concentric ring-like patterns or arcs in the sky. Now, this looks bright here, but this cannot be coming from the sun because the sun was above the head of the person taking the photograph. So even though there was a lot of light that seemed to be coming from this region here, just above the horizon, this was not the sun, and therefore not the sun simulator, since they have to be in the same position in the sky. So what could possibly give rise to these arcs? They cannot be produced by a rainbow, as there are no rainbow colors associated with them. In addition, they have a three-dimensional quality to them, as if the layers are not at exactly the same distance to the observer. They seem to be slightly above one another, so that the upper ones seem to be a little further away from the camera than the lower ones. You can see there's a staggering of the layers. The bottom ones seem closer than the upper ones. Now, is it possible that the effect could be produced by chemtrails? Well, they do have a cloud-like quality to them, and the chemtrails do produce clouds. But why would chemtrails be used to produce an effect that appears to be like a very large spherical object in the sky? When the chemtrails produce a haze in the atmosphere, the purpose of hiding the objects that are outside the atmosphere. We have evidence for the existence of at least 3 of these objects close to the Earth, but perhaps not as large as this one seems to be. And you may look at Article 243 entitled Earth hosting at least 3 Planet X system objects for more details. Furthermore, how would a chemtrail pattern produce a central circle which is much brighter than the rings around it? Chemtrails do not emit light unless a holographic projection is produced in them. But this projection is meant to be seen and is therefore very clear, and it looks like the sun. This object does not look like the sun. However, and it cannot be the sun, as I have said before. However, light emission from clouds is associated to stellar core matter within the Earth's atmosphere, which absorbs energy from atmospheric particles, which then leads to cloud formation, ionization, and light emission. Chemtrail clouds have to be made out of Earth particles and cannot therefore give off light, just like normal clouds cannot give off light. The fact that the light emitted is much brighter in the central part of the arcs implies the presence of a light source inside that portion of the arcs, and the circular outline would imply a circular or spherical source. But chemtrail clouds disperse. How can chemtrails give rise to a compact and very bright light source without it not actually being produced by a solid spherical object that is giving off light? So here is the earlier photograph where we could see this ring type pattern that also seems to have this cloud-like quality to it, and therefore most likely produced by a spherical object in the sky that is covered in cloud, this cloud-like material. Now, this small object that we see here is very, very clear, and it cannot be anywhere but inside the atmosphere. It's very close to what seems to be the sun, but this cannot be the sun. This is either a sun simulator or a holographic projection of the sun itself, and most likely this is a holographic projection as well, and most likely designed to take our attention away from what is of real interest, which is this large cloud-like, arc-like formation, which seems to be cloud-like as well. So this, I think, is what is of real interest. This is produced by an object very close to the Earth's surface, possibly even touching the atmosphere, that is covered in this cloud and is actually giving off light. Otherwise, we wouldn't see it. The sun simulator is in front of it. So cloud, and we can also see this cloud here that also seems to be giving off light, and it appears to be a mixture of pink and orange, and this means that there's actually stellar core matter in the atmosphere, and stellar core matter causes cloud formation because atmospheric particles lose energy to stellar core matter. It's energy depleted, and then as electrons are absorbed by the stellar core matter, light is given off. And so you may look at article 275 entitled Planet X Debris Field Impacting Earth. Now, the light emitted by the light sources within the observed arcs produces a tremendous amount of glare, which would suggest that it is beyond the layer of chemtrail haze in the upper atmosphere, which reflects light back out into space. But if we have clouds produced by chemtrails above the layer of chemtrail haze in the upper atmosphere, then the arcs cannot possibly be produced by chemtrails, as they would be at an altitude where chemtrails do not reach. This would mean that what we are observing is an object enveloped in a material which is cloud-like, but it cannot be produced by chemtrails. This object is therefore most likely a spherical object with stripes, which is facing the Earth as illustrated below. So it would be facing the Earth, so this is the perspective from which we would see it. We would see, well, this spot was in the earlier image orange, but in the more recent images it's bright white, suggesting that the object is now emitting more light. And from the side, this is most likely what it would look like. So the cloud-like pattern is actually this material that is cloud-like, and then would give the appearance of arcs when seen from the front. So in addition, the object emits light and is thus a light source. You would not expect a chemtrail fabrication in the sky, especially when it cannot be coming from the sun's position to give off such bright light. The fact that the object appears to be so close to the Earth, possibly partially inside the very outer limits of the atmosphere, and that it emits light suggests that it is a stellar core. The evidence that large numbers of these objects are in the solar system, and that they are known to come extremely close to solar system objects and even hover over a certain position with respect to the surface of the Earth as they absorb energy from that object, be it the sun or the Earth, is overwhelming. And here are some chemtrail clouds, and these produce these fake clouds you can see in these straight line patterns. Now, but stellar core matter moving through the atmosphere also produce cloud-like patterns, although eventually, because they, as I said before, cause cloud condensation, because when water loses energy, it condenses into clouds. But then these clouds are likely to start emitting light because of the energy absorption that takes place by the stellar core matter, and thus become luminescent. But it's likely that we have clouds in the sky that look like straight lines as stellar core matter moves through the atmosphere. So this means that chemtrails are even more specifically designed to hide the presence of stellar core matter in the atmosphere. And you may look at Article 271 entitled Planet X Debris Entering the Atmosphere for more details. In conclusion, it is not possible for the observation of bright arcs as shown in figures 1 and 2 in the sky to be produced by chemtrails. The observation of these arcs are consistent with the presence of a spherical object in the sky covered in a material which is cloud-like and striped, and that it is becoming increasingly brighter over time, so that the light emission spreads from the central circular region through the concentric stripe-like rings surrounding that circular spot. Chemtrail clouds now seem even more likely to be specifically designed to hide objects which seem to be covered in clouds in the Earth's atmosphere. And here are the references. This is Dr. Claudia Albers, Planet X physicist. Thank you for watching.